YouTube, what's good, man? So we're back with the final play out of Gun Doubles Halfback Week. If you haven't been following the series, we have an entire ebook, right, released on this through a series of videos here. Playlist for that ebook is in the description, complete with gameplay. This is going to be the last video on the Gun Doubles Halfback Week formation. We're going into a secondary shotgun formation and then finally break down Jumbo Z. Um, and that's going to be two separate videos, right? So I'm looking to close out this series by the end of this week. So you could probably expect a video on Thursday and then another video on Friday, and that will complete our free New York Jets offense. All right. So today I want to talk about a couple different things. We're going to go into a base setup for regs and everything else, and then we're also going to talk about um, the idea behind the formation and maybe running it in mud as well. We'll give a couple setups at the end as bonus setups, right? So today the play we're going to be looking at is double PA double post. But before I get into it, I did want to talk about audibles. So from an audible perspective, okay, excuse me, we're going to be setting audibles like this. So I would say X for me, I bring in double post. Inside zone or the RPO is going to be just fine. A lot of times when I'm first playing and if I'm trying to feel out my opponent and understand whether they can, play against RPOs or not, I will come out and RPO alert bubble and make sure that that's one of my audibles. So we're looking at double post, RPO alert bubble, shake halfback corner, and PA read. PA read, obviously for our red zone play, and it's just a really, really good play to kind of start off with. Now, our base play, excuse me, our base play that will probably come out in, I'd say not, about 90% of the time is going to be this PA double post. All right. Now, just because you come out in a base play doesn't mean that you have to run it, but I like coming out in this because it has a uh, stock, almost like a slot apprentice post. So you see that right there on Y. It's a corner, right? However, if I motion him over, you'll see that he stays on that and it looks kind of like a slot apprentice post. Now we could do a lot of different things out of it, right? We could kind of set up something like this. So we can keep X on his hitch, and what that means is that he's going to hold down any kind of flat on the left side of the field. And then we have our curl out route set up from some of our previous plays. And things like that, right? So we have a couple different setups we're going to go through. This is probably our first setup that we'll look at. And you can see this is just against cover 3 here, and he's clearing. Now, I got sacked there because Khalil Mack is a god, a literal god in practice mode. But let's go ahead and run it one more time, and we'll go ahead and chop this man. All right, again. So X on his hitch, which is just the stock hitch, right? Uh, he's going to hold on the flat over there on that side, and this is Kyle Fuller, it looks like, on the left side of the field in his deep third. So I'm going to go ahead and hike this. Okay, my man is chopped. Pettis gets a really bad animation. He gets bumped multiple times there, unfortunately. But as you can see, he clears the curl, and we're able to precision that down and inside. So that's our first setup. It's going to be motioning Pettis over, putting A on an out route, and then we have B on a curl. Now, the other side of this, right, is if we ever wanted to, could always, whoops, that was a really bad read. But we can always look over to that side with the out route and the curl. And keep in mind, you can always make those hot routes before ever motioning Pettis over. So if you're struggling to kind of find the time to kind of do all this, especially in MUT where there's a pretty quick play clock, just understand the setup that you're looking to do prior to kind of running this, right? So again, base setup here, really, really easy read. You can always look over on that side of the field, and it really causes their user to kind of choose. Now, if it's a cloud over there, the cloud will most likely kind of come back on that curl, leaving that out route open. So just a couple different things to look at, right? And you always want to make sure that that particular setup is on the short side of the field. So I accidentally left it for whatever reason, but let me go back to it. Now, a couple different things you can do out of this, right? If you wanted to leave B on his post, you can. So remember, this is a diving post, fellas. Okay? So if I wanted to keep A, put him on his out route, leave B on his post, and then have Y on his post, we can do that. Alright, he gets bumped here. We have kind of two different levels here. If they ever go back to B, you could hit Y because we know that he's going to beat that flat. If they ever stay with Y, you can hit B and he's going to get that diving animation. So still a diving post on that side. All right. Now that means a couple different things, right? If we wanted to, we could also look at doing something like this. So say I wanted to delay fade A. I wanted Sanders to be on a streak and then kind of set up a high-low on the left side of the field. You could do something like this too, and then we know that we have the diving post on the backside. Um, just read that flat. Okay, there's free, 5-6 yards. All right. So PA double post is a really, really good, uh, base play here for us to do a lot of different things. Now, even if we wanted to motion Sanders over, put him on a hitch, could do that as well, and it's gonna be the same thing. Just a high-low on the left side, and then we're just gonna read this post. And if they come down on the hitch, we're gonna bang that post, man. That's just what we're gonna do. So really, really simple reads on this one. Not a lot else for us to kind of look at. If you wanted to, you could always kind of do something like this as well. So you have the post over the middle, you have a drag, so we have a high-low coming over the middle of the field, and you also have A on as delay. So if you're ever waiting, then easily possession catch, whatever the case is. The flat kind of got bumped in there, but, it is what it is. A couple different things you could do out of it. So I recommend sticking with the first two setups, right? So leaving X on the hitch, motioning Y over, and then having the out and the curl. And then the other setup where you're putting X on a streak, Y stays on his corner. We don't motion him at that time, and we put the running back on a wheel. This is also a decent setup. So, I mean, if you're struggling or you want a different look, you could always do this. It's never bad to have a drag on the field or an in route, whatever you prefer, right? So again, two base setups. One is going to be motioning Y over. Okay, so it looks like this when we're complete. X holds down the flat, or if the flat peels back on the post, man, feel free to low ball this hitch. This hitch is going to be good yards for you, okay? This beats every coverage in the game. Um, Sometimes you'll have a cover 4 shell that may get a little bit underneath the post, but again, if you precision down and outside, you should be fine. Just click on and, box them out. You should be alright. Beats cover 2 as well. Alright. The other setup, you can either streak X on this one, or if you wanted to, you could motion X over and put him on a hitch. Completely up to you. My preference is motion him over and put him on a hitcher. But if you didn't want to show the motion or anything like that, you can always leave him over there and put him on a streak. Alright, so those are the two base setups. Really, really simple. Nothing too crazy happening. Um, like I said, it's just a kind of the play that makes the offense go, if you will. Alright, awesome, awesome. So before we go, right, I did want to go through some of the motions that we have with the inside zone, because there is a particular way to run this, right? So if we're running it against, we'll just do cover 3 here, or whatever the case is. But if you motion Pettis, your slot guy, over on the inside zone, and you hike him right at the tight end, you'll notice he gets that bounce out animation. It can be really good if you have a guy on the outside there. Practice mode sheds are kind of wild, so it doesn't work as well. But you can see this dude over here, right? He's out there. So we kind of want that bounce out animation because we don't want him to engage too quickly. Because if he engages really fast, then what's going to happen is we're going to get a shed, right? Because he doesn't have good blocking as is. So if we kind of do that, and he gets his bounce out, gives the chop, and you can see that, I kind of have a little bit of a hole or just a little bit of a segment to kind of try and get through before he sheds. Now we are running to low max side in practice mode, so it doesn't look that flashy. But yeah, that's what it is, man. That's primarily how I run that particular motion. Um, One thing that I do want to stress is we have bombs in this formation, so my best suggestion to you is really take your checkdowns. You know what I mean? Like really focus on hitting underneath, and then setting up these deeper plays. I think the mentality has to be completions. Think of it that way, right? Anybody that's getting, quick dotted or whatever the case is, it's always frustrating to play against. Now, against blitzes, always, 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 okay? And I say always, look for a hitch, man. I know I went over in a previous video, kind of leaving or using this as like a blitz setup, right? Another way to do this is kind of hitch Y, motion him over, and hike him over here, and like you have this low ball hitch that you have, and that'll kill blitzes, man. Their user has to be in two places, right? Either back on post, over on Y, whatever the case is. Also, if you're playing in MUT and you have tight end apprentice, one of my favorite setups this year is something like this. All right, and it works really well out of this play because we have another diving post on B. But something as simple as kind of motioning this guy over. Whoops. This would actually have to be set up a little bit different here. Um, so kind of motion the wrong guy here. So it would actually be set up like this. One of my favorite setups in some of the other formations that I play with, right, is a hitch, slant, post setup. This does the same exact thing, right? So if you're ever in a bind or you're looking for another base play, right, this is something that can do a lot of good for you. This slant, you can lowball underneath everything. And if you're ever in a position where you don't feel like it's safe or whatever the case is, I promise you it is. It's really, really safe. I've thrown this thousands of times. Um, in various other formations, you can even give this guy like a motion over, put him on a hitch, whatever the case is. But you just really want to kind of abuse that whole hitch post concept, right? So if you didn't want to motion him over, you wanted to put him on a hitch and say they were looking for a Y to come over on his post. They weren't expecting A. It's just a different mix up here. And keep in mind, you can always use this guy as a blocker when he's motioned over. So, if you're struggling to pick up a blitz or whatever the case is, and you just want him to take up the tight end spot, there you go. So, a lot of different things you can do with this. Be creative. Work on your quick game. Quick game wins games, as they say, right? But next time we will be looking at a couple different things here. We'll be looking at a secondary formation, which will probably be bunch open offset because of how annoying it is to deal with. And then, there are other formations in here that other people have broken down. You have trips tight end offset, you have bunch tight end. So it's a pretty diverse passing playbook. So if you're a runner, this may not be the playbook for you. However, you do have some nasty RPOs that you can work with. Anyhow, man, this is the last video for uh, doubles halfback week. If you haven't already, man, I am so close to getting my URL, man. As you can see down here in my overlay, you see that YouTube icon and then coming soon. I can't put anything there until I get that 100 subs, man. So if you guys could help me hit that, I would appreciate it, man. So I could make my own URL. I'd really, really appreciate it. Outside of that, like, comment, tell me what you liked about the video. Tell me if there's something else that you want to see. But yeah, man, we'll be back with the secondary formation and then Jumbo Z breakdown later this week, man. So appreciate all you guys coming through. Love the support. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Twitter or tune into my Twitch and ask them live, whatever the case is. So, all right, guys, that's it from me today. Take care.